We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay!
Hey, mamas, thanks for being here with us today for episode number 87. And today we are going to dive into the topic of overparenting and its negative effects on our children's independence. Amma will put us in check to help us see if we have some of those characteristics of quote-unquote helicopter moms, and she will give us 5 ways that we can shift to help support and encourage our kids' independence. I'm sure you will be impressed by the things that your kids can do if we just have a little more faith in them. I love this conversation. I hope you love it too, and let's get into it.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you.
Silly you.
Hey, I'm Serena. I'm a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly questioned myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them. But I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Amma Lisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is strengthening our bond as a family.
And hi, I'm Amma Lisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an Amma. And I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching. And I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast, each week we will explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family. Today, I wanted to learn about not rushing to fix it. I've seen it in myself. I see it a lot in my husband and my mother-in-law when she's watching the kids. And I see it when other people are parenting, but just not allowing our kids that time and that space to figure things out for themselves because maybe we don't want them to hurt or we want to take their pain away. And we're so quick to jump in because we love our babies and we want to protect them, of course, but sometimes it might be hindering their growth when we do that. So today I wanted to get Amma's knowledge and all her wisdom on what is the problem when we do rush in to fix problems that our children might face.
Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. What a great topic. What I see in parents these days is, parents are coming from a good place. They want to protect their child from hurt or upset. They want to keep their child safe. That's the underpinning of it, right? It's like it's not
Yeah.
coming from a bad place. It's coming from a really good place. But how are parents rushing in? What is that looking like? It's looking like they are controlling a child's every move
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. They are paying extremely close attention to their child's world.
Mm-hmm.
They are micromanaging their child's experiences. It's almost like they're trying to engineer their child for success. They're going to choose the most you know, the toys that are they're gonna teach them the most when they're toddlers. They're gonna learn their letters and all the things that they think is gonna lead to success. And they're going to teach their child how to play with those toys,
Mm-hmm.
not just which toys to play with, but how to play with them. So that's the micromanaging, the extreme attention, and the really over controlling. Sometimes this is all referred to as helicopter parenting. Now, some of you might not think you're a helicopter parent. You might see helicopter parents or who you would think of as a helicopter parent around you at the playgrounds or whatever, hovering very close. And as we go through today's episode, you may discover that there are maybe aspects of what you're doing that you could pull it back a bit, that you could step back a bit. So I invite you to have a look while we go through this today. We don't want to be neglectful of our children's needs, and we don't want to be over parenting. And I think in today's world, there's a tendency for the pendulum to swing into this over parenting realm. And that's what we're going to look at today. So, first of all, I want to look at the problem with controlling or paying too close attention to your children in their world, micromanaging their world, basically over parenting. Some of the problems that can develop in your child, some of the negative effects of that kind of parenting. Okay. And then we will look at how you, as the parent, can shift out of that tendency and some ways that you can set yourselves up for successfully raising strong and independent children.
Yes.
All right. So the first thing that we'll notice if we are over parenting is that our children will constantly seek approval from us, which then develops into throughout their lives constantly seeking approval from other, whether it's their peers, whether it's their teachers. Some of that you might think, okay, that's fine. But then when you get into your adult life, you're getting into your partnerships, you don't want to raise a child who's going to be an adult who's constantly seeking approval of their partner.
No.
Right? Okay. Children need to learn to be independent. We don't want our children to become overly dependent on us as parents. Parenting to me is this gradual letting go, and they need to be given opportunity to learn it, which we'll get into in this next part of how you can shift into being that kind of parent. It's not like a learning that we're going to teach them. It's that we're going to give them the opportunities to grow into that natural evolution. When a child is born and it comes out of our bodies, they are now a separate human from us. They don't actually know that until they're two, and they start getting that differentiation between us and them, but
Mhm.
they gradually, they start to learn to move across the floor. They can move away from you physically in their, creeping, crawling stage. Then they can run and toddle away from you. Then they can go and play with their friends and have a play date in a completely different house than you. Then they can go to preschool or daycare or kindergarten, and they're away from you for hours, many days a week. So it's
Mhm.
this gradual independence that happens. And we need to start them off in a way that supports that growth towards that independence. It's not going to help our children if we have them become dependent on
Yeah.
us by
So with the
micromanaging and overparenting.
mhm.
Life skills development are hampered when we control their every move and when we micromanage them. Um, some of the basic things, if a baby is an infant is having some tummy time and there's a toy out of reach, and if you, the parent, sees the child reaching for that toy and quickly scoots it to them or hands it to them, you are taking away what they're learning right now. In that
Mhm.
moment, they need physically to reach for that toy. That's the beginning of them learning how to motor their body through space and time, through across the floor, right? So when we are so quick to fix something, if they're trying to walk and they're holding on to the couch and they're scooting along, and then you grab their hands and you take them for a walk in a place where there aren't things in their way, you're taking away an opportunity for them to learn how to maneuver their body from that couch to that armchair, around the room. And we need to give them those opportunities. You'll notice a child, when you go for a walk, they will jump up, a toddler will jump up on every curb, every parking curb, that's along
Mhm.
anything, any log, anything that's up a couple of inches, even 3 or 4 inches. They're going to be up on there balancing. Their bodies know. They don't, it's not an intellectual knowing, it's an instinctual knowing. They need to develop their balance. And I want to tell you that all of the physical development that happens, all of the movement that our infants, our toddlers, our preschoolers, our school age children, even our teenagers, all of that physical movement that they have to do, that they need to do, that you need to give them opportunities to do, is helping brain development as well. The synapses are all clicking, they're all lining up in the brain when they're practicing balance, when they're climbing, when they're running, when they're jumping. So, some of those life skills that are physical, we want to give them opportunities for. The social and interpersonal development, we need to give them opportunities for. The emotional development, we need to give them opportunities for. So, if we are overly controlling our child and the environment and how they're interacting with every other child around them or every other human around them, if we're micromanaging all of that, we are taking away from them the opportunity to grow and learn. Some of the sadder parts are that if we micromanage, if we helicopter parent, children are growing up with lower self esteem, lower self confidence, lower abilities to problem solve, because that comes from self esteem and self confidence, without the opportunities to problem solve. Self confidence is really restricted. when we want our children to succeed in school, so many parents are focused on, them doing well in school these days. They need to be able to problem solve. We can't solve their problems for them and expect them to learn how. Another even sadder part is that overparenting can result and does result in higher rates of anxiety and depression in children. In younger and younger ages, we're seeing this. It's really being studied a lot. It's not just hearsay. Back to the physical, taking away their physical freedoms, we're seeing a rise in childhood obesity. Children need to be moving their bodies. The anxiety and depression is rising, and really sadly, the rates of suicide in younger and younger people. 12-year-olds sometimes. I mean, it's tragic. It's tragic. So without allowing our children to experience some hurt and experience some upset and experience things that they might have some fear of, is really robbing them of opportunities to learn and grow. And another negative outcome is that you might see in our society how children are developing, more and more children at younger and younger ages, a sense of entitlement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. I see
There are
that a lot.
more spoiled children out there, and I don't usually like to use that word because I like to think, you can't spoil a child if you're just giving them the love they need.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want to come back to these parents, and you might be one of them to some degree, are coming from a place of love primarily, right? We
Yes.
want to keep our children safe. We want to protect our children. And we need to learn how to do that in such a way that is not developing our child an overly strong sense of entitlement. When a child expects a parent to be there when they need them at the drop of a hat, imagine they're in the playground and they want to climb up on a slide and there's a lineup and they want you to come and fix the problem that they see. If they want that candy, they want the parent to be there at their whim, fixing every little situation that they may interpret as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to lead to that sense of entitlement. And it leads to that child, again, as they grow up, to become a person who expects not a parent to be there for them necessarily, although there are some who still want their parents to bail them out in one way or another, but who expects an other, a partner, a friend, a coworker, somebody who's just going to be there for them at any moment at their whim.
Oh, yeah. I've experienced those people.
Okay. All right. So those are the negative effects of overparenting. And let's look at some typical ways that we can easily learn how to put some things into practice in your daily life that will help you to not be that kind of helicopter parent, if you will.
Awesome. Thank
you. Okay. Anything that you want to say, Serena, that you can think of, specific situations or examples? I have a list of things to bring up, but just to bring it into a...
What I think about is a baby reaching for a toy and a parent just quick to grab it and hand it to them, and they don't even have to say anything. You're just there right away before they can even think the words that they have to say to express what they need, and
Hmm.
stepping in and before they're allowed to even think for themselves. And so
Right.
I can see how that can hinder our kids' growth.
Yeah. Okay, good. So anything that a child is able to do for themselves or is learning to do for themselves needs to be encouraged and supported. That's a great example. We've talked about that one. Now, a toddler getting dressed,
Mm, that's a great example.
choosing your toddler's clothing for them. Mm-mm. Toddlers are well able to choose their own clothing. If you have such a life where there are dress clothes and play clothes, that's a good distinction to have in the drawers or in the closet or the cupboard. So you could say the night before is a great time to set out clothing for the next day. So it doesn't have to be in the morning, especially if you've got busy mornings, if anybody's going out to work or out to daycare or any of those places, nighttime before bed, that can be added into your bedtime routine. What clothes do you think you would like to choose for tomorrow? Here's your school clothes. If it's the school, here's your play clothes. It's a weekend, right? You get to choose. And a very young toddler, you want to choose your undie pants, you want to choose your socks that you want to wear, you want to choose your clothing. And that's a really empowering thing for a toddler.
Yes.
Not just the getting themselves dressed, which they will want to do, and it will take more time. And we've got to try to give time allowance for those things to happen, right? If you got to get them into bed half an hour earlier so they can get up half an hour earlier the next morning, so they've got that half-hour window to try and get themselves dressed, great. So encouraging and supporting them to be independent. There's an episode about independence. Serena, do you know which one that?
Yes, that's a great one. That's episode number 40. How do we raise independent kids?
Awesome. Getting children to participate in some basic household chores is another really great way to encourage independence and to have less dependence on us. It's a gradual thing. Our children are designed to grow independent and grow away and move away and have their own lives. And I'll tell you right now, mama of a 37-year-old, sometimes it's hard because I want to see her more often. I want to be in her life more. And it's okay because it's healthy. It means I raised a pretty healthy human, I think,
Yes.
right?
Good job, Amma.
So, some really simple things for toddlers: put their own clothes in their hamper, help you with the laundry. They can load the laundry machines, they can unload the dryer with you,
Mm-hmm.
they can help fold the laundry. It might not look exactly the way they could sort the laundry. They could find all the socks in the laundry bin and they can match the socks. Find the two socks that all look the same and put them in matching piles. That's science, you guys. It's actually science. Anything where you're matching one thing with another is scientific. So you're building some science muscles there.
Nice.
Choosing what food they want. We have an episode about that.
Number 7, kids' cupboards.
Okay, great. So that's choosing their own food and then choosing what food they want to have on their plates too. Those are really good things for toddlers to be able to do to develop some independence from us. So the basic rule there is anything a child is able to do for themselves or is learning to do for themselves needs to be encouraged and supported. Okay. The next one, I want you to become the observer in your child's life. So resisting helping with words or actions, just stepping back and watching What can they do in the playground? What are they able to do? Sit on that park bench, mama. Do not be up there hovering around them for every little move. The thing I learned in an under threes daycare that I worked in was as high as a child can climb independently, they should be relatively safe. You don't want to be lifting them up into a high climbing frame or a high slide. If they can climb up, they can manage. That's a basic rule to go by.
Okay.
Okay. Letting your child fail in small things. And what I mean by fail is, make a little mistake, do it a little differently than it's designed to be done. I have my little 3-year-old with me this spring, and I got out the sewing cards. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they're got a pretty picture and they've got holes all the way around the picture. And then you have usually a lace, a fairly thick lace. And then they sew the lace up from the bottom and down through the top. And it's just a really good hand-eye coordination kind of activity. This little guy did it for so long. The first few days I had it out there, he just wanted to do it like for an hour. It was amazing. And I'll actually post a video that I got of him doing it this week, because I just let him figure out which side to put the thread through or the lace through. And sometimes he would come around the side and go over, and then it would be stuck. And then instead of stopping him when it was going in, quote, the wrong hole from the wrong side, I just let him do it. And then when he noticed that the lace was stuck over the side of the card, I said, I wonder what happened there. And so he ended up, of his own accord, pulling it back out. And then I did encourage him by saying, now I wonder if it goes out that hole there, where's the next hole that it would go in? And he started to learn, when it comes out from the top, it goes in through the top. When it comes out from the bottom, it goes in through the bottom. So he started to learn the pattern. But I stepped back and let him, quote unquote, fail. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, the look on his face when he got that first card done, there was like 20 or 30 maybe holes in the card that he went in and out and in and out and in and out. And the pride on that little face. And that's what you'll notice when you let them figure those things out for themselves.
Yes, yes. I know that face. I love that face.
I know, right? I know. Okay. And then I want to say, stop obsessing. You mamas out there, you papas out there, stop obsessing. Let kids be kids. Free play. I want to do a whole episode about the merits of free play, what that means, how important it is. Let them play. Children need this space to discover who they are and what they like and how they want to live in the world. They need this space to discover that. When we obsess, we parents become stressed and depressed. It's just not so good.
No,
so
it's not.
Step back, let them have the freedom to explore. Observe your child, find out what levels they're at. You might be very pleasantly surprised. Another way that you can shift is, now this is going to sound strange, but you can let your child fall. You don't want to let them fall from the high places, obviously, but remembering that golden rule, letting them only climb where they are able to climb, that should help. But I'm going to tell you a little story. I had he was probably 3 at that time, in childcare, and we were on a walk. And when I go for longer walks, I'm in a wheelchair. And I can walk, but he wanted to go and explore this little tiny ditch. Now, I'm going to tell you, it was not a deep ditch. It was about maybe a half a foot, down to where the water was, and another half a foot up on the other side. So 6 inches, whatever, that kind of thing, 6 or 8 inches. So it was this little dip. There's water running in it, and he wanted to go down there, but it was steep enough that I wouldn't be able to get down there. So when he said to me, I want to go in the water, and I said, okay, you could go in the water if you want. And I kind of knew that the sides were going to be slippery because the water was there because it had been raining and it was all grassy on the sides and a bit muddy. So I said, if you go down, I want you to know that I'm not going to be able to come and get you if you slip. Very matter of fact, just a factual thing. And he said, I want to go. I want to go. And I said, you can go. And if you slip, you'll need to get yourself back up. So he went down. He got into the water. He was very excited. And then he slipped and he fell right into the water. And he's a child that does not like getting wet. So he's like, oh, and he's just like, so this little panic going on. And so I said, it's okay. You got wet and I'm right here and you need to get yourself up. No, Amma, help me. Amma, help me. Amma, help me. And so I reached my hand towards him from where I was sitting in my wheelchair. And I was, about 3 feet away from where his hand could reach. He's like, Amma, help. Amma, help. I'm like, it's okay. You got this. You need to get your feet to where you can stand, where it's not slippery. And so I kind of just talked him through it. My voice was calm. My whole body language was calm. That's one of the tricks. They are looking to us for direction about how to deal with this scary, upsetting, hurt situation, right? He wasn't hurt. He was a little bit, I don't know if scared is the right idea. He doesn't like getting wet, so he was upset. I just stayed calm. I'm like, you got this. I know you can do this. And I'm right here. And I just kept reassuring him. And sure enough, he climbed up on out of that little ditch. And I said, do you want to go home now so we can get some clean clothes, dry clothes on? And he said, yes, please, Amma. I said, do you want to come up on my lap? Yeah. I said, okay, let's go home. But he felt so proud. Like when he got up to me, his eyes were just like so wide and a big smile. So it's really, really important to let our children get themselves up, brush themselves off, and keep going. So I just want to end with this incredible quote from Karen Young at behaviorflip.com. Before the fight or flight sets in, children will flock. They will move closer to us. They will seek reassurance. They might send cues of distress, tears, or words, or anger. In these moments, they are looking to us for signs of safety and signs of danger. So this is an example of when a child falls and scrapes their knees. And they're like, oh. And some parents rush in to pick that child up and to make it all better. They don't want their child to be hurting, right? But what Karen Young says here is what to do. Let everything in you, your face, posture, eyes, and voice, send signals of safety. If your body could speak in this moment, it would say, yes, I see this is big for you. And yes, I know you are safe. Yes, my love, I know you can do this. And what I love about that is instead of rushing in to fix it, we can stand back and say, oh, you scraped your knees. That can really hurt. You got this. Rather than jumping into their emotional state. Oh, I'm I'm so sorry. You have, oh, your knees. Oh no. And just, meeting their emotional need. They're looking to you for their emotional state. We want to model calm, safe, secure. We got this. All right. I hope there's enough there to get you started. Remember, if you have questions, if you're just not quite sure, if you're trying something and it seems to be backfiring, just write to us on Instagram or Facebook or email, and we'll give you some support. We love you. Thanks for being here.
In conclusion, I want us as parents to be aware that it is our responsibility to give our littles the space they need to encourage and support their independence. It comes from a place of love, but sometimes we are too quick to rush in to fix everything. And we could be robbing our kids of some really amazing learning opportunities that will help them grow. And here's a good rule of thumb to go by.
Anything a child is able to do for themselves or is learning to do for themselves needs to be encouraged and supported.
And I know that's easier said than done. I promise you, mamas, this is going to require patience. And we also want to remind you that you need to allow time. If you want to encourage and support your kids' independence, we need to build in that time for our kids to practice the things that are going to make them independent. So for my gems, I'd like to go over a few ways that we can encourage our kids' independence. And number one is by getting them more involved in chores. So if you have a toddler, they can probably put their clothes in their hamper. They can load and unload the laundry. I know my 1-year-old helps me load and unload the laundry, as well as my 3-year-old. Number two is allowing them to choose what food they want, and this could be choosing what meal they would like to have or what foods they would like on their plate. Number three is become the observer. Resist helping with words and actions. And a rule that Amma gave us at the playground is as high as a child can climb independently, they are usually safe. So mamas, take a seat at the playground, let them explore. Number four is allow for free play. They need space to discover who they are, what they like, and how they want to live in this world. And number five is let everything about you signal safety. So when our kids are getting these opportunities and they might fall or they might quote unquote fail, they're coming to us in those moments of fear and upset. And that is the perfect opportunity for us to show them that safety and security so that they do get comfortable with failure and falling, and they know that they're still going to be okay if they fall or fail and we're quick to correct, or if we're a little over dramatic as well and so we scare them a little bit more, and then they're too scared to do the monkey bars again because they feel it's scary and we've showed them that it might be scary. So a reminder for us that even if we are a little scared, just to signal safety and security. If there are no bones broken and there's not blood everywhere, it's okay. And if they fall and they got a little scrape, it's okay. These are perfect opportunities for our kids to learn resilience. And that's part of independence, is being resilient. I love this conversation. So we hope that you got a lot there. We hope there are some things that you can test out, and we hope that you allow some more space and time for your kids to explore their independence. And I'm sure you will be surprised. Thank you so much for joining us for today's conversation, and we will see you next week. We have our third listener Q&A, and we want to remind you that if you have any questions or you're looking for support, you can DM us on Instagram or send us an email, and all of that information is in the show notes. So thank you, mamas, for joining us, and we'll see you next week.